Good evening and welcome to Body and Soul Awareness with Stephanie and Oxana. Here are your hosts. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Sunday afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you out there. I am having an awesome day, except for the fact that it's pouring buckets outside. Crazy. I've never seen this much rain in my life, let alone did I think I would ever see it in Southern California. But anyways, we have a very, very, very special show for you this evening, especially given the timing, I think. Yesterday was a very monumental day, and not because of the inauguration, but because of all of the women's marches that took place all across the country, but then all across the globe too, apparently. There were millions of women standing up for what we believe in and change and just wonderful things. There's New York City was one of the places. Washington, D.C. was huge. There was like 500,000 women there. Massachusetts, there were people in, let's see, I'm just kind of looking through the list of places that there were because they were all over the place. They were in London. People got together in Paris, France. So it's kind of like a worldwide thing. And it wasn't so much, I don't think, just to say, you know what, Trump isn't my president. I don't want him in office. I don't like what's about to happen over the next 4 years. It wasn't about that. I think personally it was about women getting together to, A, stand up for our rights, whether it be reproductive rights or whether it be our rights just as citizens, standing up against police brutality. That was another big thing. Talking about making sure that we leave a planet behind for our children that's even worth them living in because it's clean and it's not full of GMO foods, things like that. Just so many different things that women need to stand together and, A, talk about, but B, actually be about. And all of these women got out there and said, hey, these are things that I stand up for. And it's amazing because I think that shows how much that if we just work together that we can make the changes that we want for ourselves, for our children, for the earth, for just humanity altogether. But anyways, before I get too far into tonight's discussion, I wanted to go over last week's homework. So last week's homework was to make one change. We didn't ask you to totally change your diet and get rid of all of your vices. We said, what is that one thing that you rely on, whether it be sugar or coffee or sodas or processed food, prepackaged foods, fried foods, meat, anything that you were willing to get rid of for a week just to see how you felt after you eliminated that vice or bad thing from your diet or your lifestyle, right? So what did I eliminate? I didn't eliminate anything, honestly. I actually am pretty darn good at making sure that I don't have those vices. However, I will be totally honest. Tonight, I'm sitting here with you having a cup of coffee. So luckily, it's a new week, so I haven't really cheated. But honestly, it's so rainy and dreary outside. I wanted a nice hot cup of coffee, and I haven't had coffee in a while. So I'm having it for the flavor and the enjoyment of it, not because I need caffeine to sustain my lifestyle. But anyways, so yeah, for the most part, I don't really do the processed sugars or the prepackaged foods aren't part of our regime on our menu. It's pretty good. We take very, very good care of ourselves. And I wanted to update everyone on Kai, his progress. He's doing much better. We got all of those boogies out. He is feeling so much better, and he's eating a lot better too, which is good because of course, when you're sick, you need to make sure that you're getting lots of nutrients. So I just wanted to let everybody know because I got some messages that people were worried about Kai, but he's doing fine. He's just been resting up and getting better. Okay? All right. So tonight's discussion, we are actually, well, I always say we because I'm so used to Oxana being here, but I am very excited to have a very special guest on. I've been trying to get her on the show for a long time, and finally our schedules collided, and I think destiny actually waited to have her on this day because such amazing things are going on with women right now and the world and humanity. I think history was definitely made yesterday, so I think this is just kind of a carryover of that. But anyways, let me go ahead and introduce Renee. Renee is a mother of 2, grandmother of 6, a lover of all things beautiful. Her hobbies are calligraphy, word art, singing, dancing, and she also has a love for cooking and creative arts. She is a poet, event planner, and playwright, wholeness life coach, entrepreneur, blogger, and women's advocate. She is the owner of the companies House of My Unique, Lucille's Daughter, Zen in Session, and Empowered Women Rising. She does guided meditations online and offline in her community. So I'm very, very grateful to be welcoming on right now Miss Renee McDade. Hello, Renee. Are you with me?
Hi. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, I can.
Okay.
So how are you doing today?
I'm with you. I'm doing good.
Okay. So how amazing was that yesterday?
It was 5 million people amazing.
Yes. It's crazy. I have to be totally honest because I didn't know it was happening. And honestly, I never even pay attention to the news enough to even remember that it was Inauguration Day yesterday, right? I try to kind of just like block all that kind of stuff out of my head. But anyways, I saw it on my Facebook feed, of course. Like, where else do you get your news from, right? But I saw it on my Facebook feed, and I started watching it, and I forget what part was it. I don't remember who was singing, but they had the mothers of all of the children that had been killed by police, and the mothers were up there saying the names of their children, and they were like saying their name really loud, and then the crowd would say their name, and it was really beautiful, very sad, but very moving moment. And it's crazy because I started tears in the beginning of watching it thinking about my sons, right, because I have 2 sons, one 15 and one 16 months, and I thought about them. But then by the end of it, I was so motivated to just make the world a better place for my child and raise my child in a manner that he would make the world a better place as well. So I was literally in tears for probably like 45 minutes. But it was amazing because I was so moved.
Same here. I mean, there were no words, and I'm never without words.
Exactly. I know.
You know, watching, I was looking at different takes of it on CNN, and they were cutting into all of the different cities and countries, even Amsterdam, Tokyo, different places like that. It was like, and they got the $5 million count from the womensmarch.org. If you go on their page, they got a breakdown of the attendance in every city, or either I can send it to you. I can send you the link. That's how they were able to, legitimize 5 million, because I think on CNN today they're saying 1 million, but it was 5 million. What they said, what CNN said was 1 million, not including Washington. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and it's crazy. You never can tell what the numbers are because it just looks like seas and seas of people. But what I saw is a lot of solidarity and a lot of women ready to make change.
What they also said was there was 0 crime, 0 arrests, 0 killings. And I said, see, that's what I'm talking about. And you're talking about an event that began with 2 people. And then other people got word, and they invited 2 more people in. You know, it started with a nano number, you know, and it just grew into something massive. And the beauty of it was to be able to mobilize that many people on one accord that knew what they wanted, that made their voices one.
Right.
I'm like, oh, my goodness. And it was motivational and inspiring because that set the pace for 2017, not fear factors, but what we can do if we're willing to just put some action in it and not be afraid to stand up, not be afraid to speak our minds. That's what it set the pace for. And it eradicated a lot of fears and uneasiness, office and all of that. It just shifted the mood. That's what I saw.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely very monumental. Well, okay, let's not talk too much about that. Let's talk a little bit more about you and what it is that you do in your businesses so we can get more into how we actually do empower women and help them get moving and start movements like this through tribes and collaborations.
Right. So where do you want me to start? What specifically is your question?
Tell our listeners about you. Like how did you start? Where, what perspective are you coming from, and how did you get in the place to help advance women and the feminine, for that matter?
Well, I guess I would say it started gradually over the years. But if I had to pinpoint a time, I would say Bible college.
Okay.
That's what I would say, you know, from the very beginning. It was like going through the work of delving into the Bible and going overseas and becoming an overseas a missionary in Central America, Belize, where I joined a medical fruit farm mission. And I taught the native children Bible scriptures and assisted the nurse in giving treatments to the natives in that region, which were 2 groups of people, actually, the Mayan Indians and another tribe called the Garifnas, or another pronunciation is the Garifuna tribe. And this experience gave me a passion, a thirst for world-encompassing life work. Because, you know, once I got outside of Western civilization and was able to take a breath and look at life from a whole different perspective and see things that Western civilization didn't teach me, mainly about nature. You know, of being able to connect with nature, because the mission in Central America, Belize, was kept running mainly by a fruit plantation. They grew bananas and plantains and lemons and limes and oranges, and, you know, and they allowed the natives, the Mayan Indians, to work the land. And they paid them a fee. But that's how they supported themselves, you know, not just by donations coming from the states. Although hospitals in the states would send their outdated medical supplies, and they would use those. And when I got to Central America, I found out that sugar wasn't naturally white.
Right.
I was introduced to raw cane sugar.
Oh,
And
that's
I found out
stuff.
I found out that all oranges are not orange. Some of them are dyed. And some of them are ripe when they're green.
Really?
Yeah. I discovered what plantains was, and I argued with the missionary. I'm like, you're getting ready to fry that? That's a banana. He said, no, it's a plant. And I said, no, it's a big banana. So, and I experienced people that had a lot of humility, and they showed me a lot of respect in a way that I hadn't experienced before. And it was that point where everything in my life shifted, and I aspired to do bigger things. I would always pray to God and say, oh, God, I want to do greater works. Right. And every time I would make that statement, I would be presented with a situation that would allow me to do that. Wow. And moving on beyond that, I would say the work that I have done and that I presently do is based on my schooling and my training from the academic standpoint. The training I received from being a mom, which was the greatest training of all.
Oh, yeah.
Which I honor and don't take lightly. And two, it is based on my life experience of 50-plus years of being on the planet. And just to share with the listening audience what I have done since the year 2000. In 2000, I moved to Athens, Georgia. Okay. And my work in the local community in Athens since the year 2000 has been as followed. I taught etiquette for 7 years. I did event planning. I've given 19 events in the city of Athens since the year 2000. I worked as a playwright. I've given 2 plays. And I was ordained and licensed as an apostle pastor, started a non-denominational church, which still exists under a different pastor. I've moved on from that and worked as spiritual family life coach for 5 years, 4 years of which my services were free. Wow. Most of my work Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so tell us how you started Empowered Women Rising.
Well, that's recent. That just started the latter part of last year. Yeah, that was when I was really focusing on tribes, collaborations, and networks. And really the work of Empowered Women Rising is work that I've been doing all along. I just decided to put it into a company business format and take it to the level of, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, isn't that funny how that works? Like, you have all these little bits and pieces of things that happen to you, like, along the way, and all those bits and pieces culminate into what you were supposed to be doing all along, but you needed that knowledge of all of those things before you could fully do it.
And you also needed, I guess we would say, time to be able to look back and see the pattern. You ask yourself, especially when we're trying to do soul searching and we're asking ourselves, I want to find my purpose. I want to look at what I really want to do. And then you would get to the point of asking, what am I supposed to do? What was I put here to do? And it just takes, to get that question answered, it just takes looking back over our lives and the patterns that we've created in our work life that keep coming up. And when we find things that we're doing, I did that 15 years ago. Wow. And I did it 10 years ago, and I did some 5 years ago. You see, the work is following you. And it's been a part of you all the time, and it gradually grows. And it gets to the point where if you're not mindful of it, when it actually totally reveals itself to you, you might have a tendency to say, wow, the work that I'm doing now, it actually started without me.
Right.
But that's not it. It's in when you, the greatest language of them all is intention. And when you set intention to begin a mission or a journey, I, from experience, can say the universe will meet you, and it will put in your path the things that you need along the way and the people that you need to help make things happen.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so excited about Empowered Women Rising, because the people are coming that it is that I'm supposed to work with, because the vision is to network women all over the world. Beautiful. And so far, the networking communities that I've connected with is London, UK, and in Africa, Johannesburg, Nigeria, Dakar, Senegal, and Botswana. Costa Rica, Holland, Canada, Calgary, Alberta, in Ontario, Juliet, Quebec, and Sydney, Australia.
Wow, you're all
that's
over the
outside.
place.
Yeah, that's outside of the United States. And we are, working with women or groups that are doing certain things in their region. And it is my job to come in and say, well, how can I help you? Or because I am a builder by nature, I can listen to what it is that they're doing. And if they're not being successful in a certain area, whether it's with the social relationships, whether it's in marketing, or whether they aren't clear about what their mission is. Because one of the mistakes a lot of us make, because we have so much passion, those of us that are on that journey to make the world a better place, we have a tendency, if we're not focused, to be everything for everybody.
And
that's a good you point. Will get burnt out.
Very
and
quickly,
you'll be all over the place. Yeah.
That's so true. Oh, my gosh. I could say that from personal experience, that's true. Definitely something that I've been working on is just making the time to literally just implement all of the knowledge that I have in my day-to-day life. That was probably like the hardest part of it, is having all of this knowledge and not doing anything with it because you were so busy doing so many other things.
Right. But what helped me to fine-tune the mission for Empowered Women Rising, because I was saying I wanted to set up the pillars of my organization.
Yeah.
I looked at who my target market is, and that is women 18 and above.
Okay.
And my next thing was, what type of challenges are women faced with that they need help with?
Oh, man.
That are yet to be unspoken, okay, if we will.
Okay.
And from the research I did, I found out, according to a Gallup poll, women in the U.S. are most concerned about money issues, their families, their health, and the problems of time management and stress.
Oh, yeah.
And according to a survey conducted by a Gallup poll that was done for women.com, the top seven categories of concerns, this is how they broke it down. 20% of women are faced most directly with economic concern. Their concern is money, 26%, including such things as cost of living, meeting financial needs, and taxes.
Okay.
The next thing on the list, the number 2 thing on the list, is family. 22% of women most pressing concern is their family. Number 3 is health. 15% most pressing daily concern is their health, and they are concerned about this daily. Time and stress. 14% of women are more concerned about stress. The 6th thing is job. Go ahead, Stephanie. What you think?
No, I can see where stress is a really big thing because you're trying to fit in everything. It's almost like you can only put like a tiny percentage into everything and never 100% into anything because you're always focusing on so many things like the family and the finances, etc. Your boss, making sure he's taking.
And the 6th thing is job and career, which is 8% of women are most concerned about that. And the 7th thing is education. Well, the 6th thing is education. 7% of women are most concerned about education, not just for themselves, but for their children. And the 7th thing is equality and equal rights. 4% of women are more concerned about equality, equal rights, and discrimination. So that helped me to paint a clear picture. And then when I looked at it again, I said, even though I got those 7 things, there's 7 topics, and I want to penetrate a little deeper to see what they break down to being, because some people can say, well, I'm concerned about my family, or I'm concerned about health, or, and when you say family, I don't understand what you mean. That could mean your husband, or that could mean you staying with the sick mother, or, So I dug a little deeper, and I found that the Gallup poll had also did a phone survey with 1,200 women because they wanted to hear firsthand directly the women's response to what exactly is it that you're concerned about. They wanted them to spell it out. Right. And if you can get women talking, they're not going to give you one word like money or family or health. Exactly. They're going to get descriptive. And this is what I discovered. The concerns that women, their responses from that question of what are your concerns was raising children and problems with their children, how to make ends meet on a fixed income, time management. And Stephanie, you can jump in anywhere if you want to comment on any of these.
No, it's just definitely hitting home everything that you're saying.
Time management, taking care of my family, somebody said. Health issues, the cost of living, business issues, having enough cash flow in my business to continue to make it grow, single parenting and child care, children's well-being, being alone, bills, money issues and making a higher salary, being able to pay the doctor bills and having insurance, balance and coordinating home and work, time management, getting everything done.
That's the huge one.
Recovering from divorce, feeding my kids and keeping up with the expenses and providing for them, stress and economic stress, finding time for self and trying to keep it all in perspective and go with the flow.
Oh, yeah.
Finding equality for women and age discrimination. Being self-supported. Transportation, getting to work every day.
Wow.
Communicating with my husband. Working and raising children, raising my son, raising 5 kids, and being able to take care of them. trying to make life meaningful, having the time to spend quality time with my children, and being able to take off work to take care of and spend time with my children. Branching out and being more active in the community, quality education for my children, safety for my children, especially at school, and being sick a lot and trying to get the kids off to school when they don't want to go because of the gun shooting that go on in school.
Oh, yeah.
These are the things that I discovered.
It's crazy that there's so many different things.
And everything that I just shared is the reason you saw the women mobilize yesterday. Because even though they came under one voice of reproductive rights, they were there for all of these issues I just shared also. When they say they want equal rights, when they say they want to be heard, all of these things are on their mind. The money, the family, the health, the stress, the job and career and education. And they, we as women, we embody these things.
Right, and I think that's a really good point to make, is that it's not that we were all there necessarily for the same reason. Some of us see things differently, and that's okay. We come from all different backgrounds and religions and races and economic backgrounds, whatever, but that's not the point. The point is that we all stand for pretty much the same thing. And one time I heard, and I cannot even remember where I heard this from, but some comedian or someone said, we would never go to war if it was a woman that was in charge, because a woman would never send her child or another person's child to go die for interests that weren't good, obviously. So I think that's a good point to make, is that we really were there for so many different things. However, we made such a big, strong impact just by being there.
That's true. And to stand shoulder to shoulder. And then the mobilization of it all. You know, I shared the picture on the site about that showed all the women on the bus. And I didn't know anything about it until my neighbor. I ran into her, my neighbor across the hall, and she was letting some guests in her house. And she looked at me and she says, "We're getting ready to leave for the March on Washington." And she had this look on her face that I had never seen before. She was elated and through the roof. She knew she was getting ready to do something powerful and great, you know.
Right.
And I'm like,
and that's what
I told her, I told her, I said, that's awesome. When you come back, I want to talk to you about the women's company that I've launched recently, Empower Women's Rising. She said, go ahead and count me in.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. Okay, so we had this great march. We all got together. We said, hey, there's changes that we want to make. So what do we do now, right? So I don't want everything to just kind of like eventually let the smoke fizzle out and go back to our normal routine. Like, what do we do to motivate now going further?
Well, you know what? You asking the question would be one that would be part of the solution, and I, too, ask that question. And that's where networking comes in. That's where collaborations comes in. It's a perfect time, of all these women, because they're so hyped up, they don't want to go back to the same old, same old. They're ready now for the next thing, whether it be in the area of health, whether it be forming groups where you can keep that communication open and you can continue to share and empower one another, and to see how each other is doing and offer whatever support you can in the form of time, in the form of bartering, in the form of information, whatever, you know. And it's also up to us, because remember, like I said at the beginning, that march got started by 2 people, Stephanie.
Right.
So to keep it going, that many. And there are some in the movement that, you know, collected names and telephone numbers and stuff like that. And I will continue to pay attention to the site to see if they post any other events, to see where they are in social media, so that I can keep up with them, to see what hashtags that they're using, so that I too can use those hashtags. And every time I post, you know, under that hashtag, they will get the message, and every time they post, I will get the message.
Right.
And that way we can stay connected, because we got to find a way to stay connected online and offline.
Exactly.
You know, and we've got to find a way to keep the momentum going. And there's no reason why it should stop now. I think, like I said, it opened a door. It broke through always. You know, and now we've reached a level where we're at a new way of thinking and a new way of doing things. Because one thing that happens for sure when people get together, when women get together, and they begin to share amongst themselves, they awaken even more. And if they were totally asleep, they just wake up.
Yeah. You know what's so funny?
And once you wake up, you don't go back to sleep normally.
Right. Well, you can't, even if you want to, and even if you do for a short period of time, pretending like your life could ever be quote-unquote normal again, you're going to get woken up somehow. Trust me, I know. But it's funny because I posted something on Facebook today, and it's an ancient Chinese proverb, and it says, when sleeping women wake, mountains move. Very simple, short, sweet, to the point. Yeah, I know. I loved it, too. So we actually went a little bit over, and I have to get to a commercial. So let me get to a commercial, and we will be right back shortly.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, we are back on the air live. This is Stephanie with my special guest, Renee McDade. Renee, are you there?
I am.
Wonderful. Okay. So we are continuing with the momentum from yesterday's march. It was amazing getting all of those women together. It was so empowering and it's inspiring. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what do we do from here? Okay, so we're empowered, we're inspired, we know that something bigger and greater is going to happen, and we know that we need to make changes. Like, where do we even start? Like, what's the beginning of all of that?
Your passion.
Yep.
I would say that it starts with just that. You know, because all of us live in places that affect us differently. And our communities are in need of different things. One community may be education and children. You know, another community may be some type of suffering that's going on directly in relation to the woman. There may be in another community a health crisis. And nobody seems to have any solutions to why, you know, the cancer rate is up, the diabetes rate is up, or the obesity rate is up, you know.
Yeah.
And whatever. So you have to look around your environment and see what is it that the environment that I live in, the community that I live in, what is needed that I'm able to give. Because we also don't want to enter into areas that we don't know anything about. And but if you're passionate about a certain area, you could start off as a volunteer and learn the ropes, you could do that. You don't necessarily have to go to school and get a degree. That's going to take too long when people need help right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say for all that.
Yeah, and we also have to do, and that's on the outside of us, Stephanie. We also have to do soul searching as far as getting to know the real inner us, the real us. And when we take time out to just sit quietly or in stillness or go as far as to meditate and ponder upon that question, where do I even get started? What do I do? And if you keep asking that, and if you allow that time of stillness and meditation, that answer will come to you. And that is the promise, because that's the same journey I was on, for years, decades back. What kept playing through my head and running like in a circle. I know how to do all these things, and I'm doing all these things. And it never got to the next level until the very next thing that I'm going to share that all women need, and that is a voice. Until we as women find our voice and we actually have something to say about something,
right?
Then we can't get anybody's attention. Because making the world a better place is all about people acknowledging the fact that you exist.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got to have a voice to be able to do that. Go ahead.
No, I used to say that I went through this time period where I felt as though I was standing in the middle of a crowded room and screaming at the top of my lungs, and nobody could hear me. And it's so interesting kind of how, things have evolved, and here I am in this place now. I'm on the radio, talking to a whole bunch of people every week over the radio waves.
And you might find that media is your thing. Being able to provide a platform for people, but it doesn't have to be limited to Blog Talk Radio. I mean, you could branch out and find other ways through Skype or whatever other, or YouTube, and start doing interviews and bring to the forefront people that are doing awesome things, but they don't get heard or known.
Exactly. Yeah,
see, Stephanie, that's a part of what our topic is today. Stepping into that arena where you are using your feminine energy, to be a part of a network or some type of collaboration. And the reason that I wanted to talk on this topic is because one of the things that I discovered after working solo for so many years was there were certain things that I couldn't get done. I would always start those things, and I would end up getting so far, and then I wouldn't be able to go any further.
You sound like me.
And then I found out it was because I needed a partner that would eventually come. They had the other piece of the puzzle to make the whole picture complete. And we both just laughed and was like, wow, where have you been? Oh, I've been waiting for you,
Yes.
And it's a form of synergy, like, oh, my goodness, now it all makes sense. Because don't assume that, and I'm talking to the listening audience as well, Don't assume that because you have a vision and you have passion to energize that vision, that you're supposed to be responsible for all the working parts of that vision.
I like that you said that, man, because let me tell you, I have tried to start so many businesses, from wedding planning to wedding and event planning, and what else did I do? Oh, man, travel and tourism. So I used to do, like, travel agent things for people. And then I started a skincare company with the Eden's Balance, and that kind of grew into the, like, nutrition part of it. And the nutrition part of it is doing well. But I swear all of the other things just would not, no matter how much time and effort and energy I put into it. And it's funny because I always thought I had to work harder, and that's why it wouldn't work. But then I realized I was just going against the grain, and I need to stop fighting against things that weren't meant to be.
When we start our journey and when we embark upon a mission, and that's all of us as the feminine energy, what we are to do is discover that magic formula. Right. When we stumble upon it and we see, wow, I'm finally doing something that works, you make sure you keep that formula intact, because one of the things that I learned from a very wise person is when you have a formula for the work that you do, mainly your life work, right, it will work anywhere, any year. It will just work. Right. And that's the beautiful thing about finally getting it right. And one of the things that I would like to share that is needed in the way of this feminine mobilization, that really, I think, launched in a big way yesterday, is people that are good at communication. They're good at talking. And they have a magnetism with that to the point where when they talk, people listen. And people tell other people, and other people come. And people that have a magnetic energy that can draw people to hear what they have to say, because in this day and time, people are wandering around and they don't know what's going to happen next, and they are dealing with a lot of fears. So people that are communicators. Yeah. People that are communicators. Also people that are good in business in the area of networking, advertising, creating not only products, but new technology. They're innovators, or services. If you are in this to make life better for others, spend some time thinking about what is it that I can do, whether it's a product, whether it's a service, or another area, which is still a service, but it's kind of an area to its own. And that's the area of communication, media, information, and which I do a lot of. And when I was preparing for this interview, I was like, whoa, that is one of the things that I do best. It's called being an infopreneur.
I love that.
And you are a carrier and a messenger of information that needs to get out. You are an infopreneur. And the beautiful thing, those of you that find out that's what you are, that's a good thing. Because the number one thing that's being sold on the internet is information. Not products, not services, but information.
So true.
And
There's
sometimes we do that, but we don't know what to call it. And some of us get to fumbling with our words, and we like, well, I got a blog.
I know.
Or I hit people up on Facebook.
No, it's funny you say that. I was going to say, it's funny you say that, because I got to the point where I told everybody, I was like, look, if you're going to pay your doctor a $25, $35 copay for the information that he's giving you and he's not curing you, I want $50 an hour because I'm giving you some good information and you're actually getting better.
That's right. And you know what? If you don't take yourself seriously, who will?
Right.
Who will? You know, if you can't close the sale,
right.
You know, you can advertise it and you can talk about how good it is and you can make people feel good. But if you never get to the point of then you don't have a business, you got a hobby.
Exactly. Well, that's why I think it's important for us to know our worth, though. I think that was the hardest part for me kind of in the beginning of, like, all the business stuff is undervaluing my services because I didn't, not that I didn't think they were great. I thought that they were great, but I didn't put enough worth or value on myself and the information that I. So I really had to look into that, and that's something that I'm still working on every day is just making sure that I never forget my worth.
And you know what? That's also a part of us, why the wise ones, the elders call coming into your own, Stephanie. Right. And when I watch television and I look at shows like American Idol or The Voice,
right.
If you look at those shows, you will see that it's never their talent that eliminates them. It's their confidence level.
Yes, that's so true.
And the ones that make it to the end, and I love those shows because I love good singing and music and stuff like that. The ones that make it to the end are the ones that show us that not only am I gifted and I can do this, but look at me. Right. I am larger than life.
Right.
And you are being honored and graced with my gift. That's how I feel. And I'll look at them and I'll go, I want that person right there to win because they made me feel a certain way.
Right.
It is always self-confidence. It's the same with actors and actresses. It's the same with positive word talk. If you're going to do affirmations even, if you don't put any energy, real energy behind what it is that you're speaking, it's not going to work. You'll just be going through the motions of saying the affirmation.
Exactly.
You know, so it's and when you get to the point where you don't need other people to validate you.
Right.
You know, it's like, thank you for your help. I'm at a point now where I've not only found my voice, but I've found my wings. I'm good.
Yes. Yes, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And also at that point, you gain the magnetism that when you stand in that crowd and you shout and you speak and you will have that dream again, everybody will turn around. Exactly. And it'll be an E.F. Hutton moment. Like, wow, be quiet, Stephanie's saying something. You know, be quiet, Stephanie's saying something. Yeah. But that is a woman. That is a woman's, oh, my goodness, and it goes back to our history. It goes back through our DNA. And I can't speak for any other woman but African-American women who have been crippled from their past because of the ways that they've been treated, especially when they were brought into this country as slaves.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and how they got separated from their men, and the lady in the house, the master's wife, didn't like her, the black woman, because the black, you know, the master was sleeping with her, So it was a conflict. She was betwixt and between. And once that happened, her husband didn't want her back. You know, and if he was still there, because a lot of times they would separate the man and the woman and sell them off to another place. You know, and that stayed in our DNA. There's a book called What and Where Do I Enter? And it is the history of what I just described, you know.
Right.
And you know the origin of your race of people, you know, the women, that is.
Right.
But women in general, I was watching this show on PBS. I can't think of the name of the show right now. It was a long-running series that happened in London about this family. And I can't think of the name of it. But I remember it happened back in the 1800s. Mm-hmm. And I remember the men in that show saying, oh, this is a serious matter. You know, we can't tell the women folk about this because they are too delicate. Their constitution is too delicate to deal with it. And I was like, well, you know, that's what they think about us.
Our constitution is delicate. I pushed 2 bowling balls out of my vagina. Thank you very much.
You know, so in so many different ways, the woman been out of step and out of tune and out of place with society. I'm sure you've heard of the term associated with women barefoot and pregnant.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, that was something that laid over our head for a very long period of time. But women throughout the years have done incredible things. And it's recorded in history, Stephanie, but unless you go in there and dig it out and bring it to the forefront, it just won't be brought to the forefront. And somebody has to be the historian to do that. And what is the purpose of that? To help women with their self-worth. And that's why I taught etiquette for 7 years, because I felt like if our women of the future are going to be great, it's going to start with our little girls.
Yeah.
And what I discovered when I started teaching etiquette from girls age 4 and up was mainly the class that I taught from 4 years old to 7 years old. I would get them together and I would say, okay, introduce yourselves to each other. And not only would they not look each other in the eye, they couldn't talk. They would sit there and kind of glance at each other up and down, and they would giggle. They thought it was funny. They would laugh and giggle, and I was like, no. I need you to use your words.
Right.
Tell her your name. And they'd stand there all shy. And, you know, and that happened over and over and over again with every class. And I'm like, who told these kids, these little girls, that being shy was cute and the thing to do? And then from that it goes on to girls not being validated by their parents. So they're validated in society. You know, if mothers don't tell their girls, you're beautiful. Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so precious. And do you know how powerful and strong you are?
Right.
If they don't tell their girls that, the first boy they meet when they get in middle school or high school is going to tell them that, because they're trying to get their attention. And if they didn't hear it at home and they're looking for that recognition, they will accept it from that boy. Oprah was interviewing an artist once, and the artist was talking about a book, and she said one of the things that she wanted to point out to women was that when your child walked in the room, do your eyes light up?
Right.
And she said, I think it was Toni Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
And Oprah went, wow. That is so interesting. You know, in Oprah said it hit her in a certain place, and it took her back to her childhood because the children that her grandmother took care of down the road, because they were sharecropping, I believe.
Right.
When those white children walked in the room, her grandmother's eyes lit up, but she said they didn't light up when I walked in the room.
Aww.
You know. And so that stayed with me. Wow, when our children walk in the room, do our eyes light up? You know, they will forever be precious. They will forever be beautiful. I am always happy to see you, always ready to love you.
Right.
And Oprah said, out of all of the interviews that she did on Oprah over the years that talked about so many different subjects, she said, one thing that I saw in all of them that was the same thing, their body presence, their eyes, all of them were asking the same question. Do you see me? I mean, do you really see me? So we've got to address that deep inner chord because these are subtle things that we don't talk about in society. We talk about the bills, the weather, you know, how Sammy doing me wrong or whatever. But we don't talk about we don't talk about the insecurities that, you know, linger, the little things that bother us that you wouldn't dare mention because, you know, it ain't really no big deal, and you continue to live with it, but it is a big deal, and it continues to eat away at your character.
You know what? I really think, and we kind of touched on this a little bit when we were on the phone yesterday, but I really believe that's why women are having so many problems with our reproductive organs. Is because all of these like leftover emotional things that are stuck inside of us eating away at us.
I agree with that.
The fibroids, the uterine cancers, and all the different things that are plaguing the female anatomy.
And I can speak to that personally because I don't go to hospitals. I don't take medicine. I try to live the holistic life and getting better at it. I've got a ways to go, but I'm getting better at it.
Girl, it's a process. Let me tell you.
The thing that has hit my body that has made me diseased, the body diseased, has been the female area.
Right.
And I had to think about what would cause that to be the weakest part of me.
Right.
You know, over the years. And I accounted it to relationship. I accounted it to stress.
Oh, yeah.
And I accounted it to not having personal relationship with myself. I spent 30 years, Stephanie, loving outside of me and not loving me.
Right.
And when the universe, the spirit, the Most High decided to get my attention, because even through illness, that gets our attention.
Oh, yeah.
And it normally comes at a time when it's time for us to grow, and we can't take a step further because that's new stuff. We got to get rid of the old stuff.
Exactly.
So it hits us like a brick wall, and we have to deal with it. And it put me in tune, first of all, with my body, because I constantly was reminded of it hurts here, or I'm uncomfortable here, or this is happening to a certain part of me. And it caused me to nurture. It caused me to stop eating things that were not good for me. It caused me to raise my consciousness level up and say, I like that. You know, I like the burgers and the hot dogs and all of that kind of stuff, but it's not serving me. It's making me sick.
Exactly.
And I let it go. I made a choice, a conscious choice to let it go, because the new choice I made was I want to live. And see, that was connected to my passion, my mission, my life work. I got vision and all these dreams, but they're going to die inside of me if I don't live.
Exactly.
And that carved out for me a whole new way of life. When I go to the grocery store, I shop totally different than I did 20 years ago. Most of the stuff in there I don't eat.
Right, you can't eat it. It's not even food.
You pass 6 hours trying to get to what you really want.
I know. And it's crazy because when I was young, I literally, like, food to me was anything that was, like, finger foods, like a hot dog cut up into pieces that I could eat with a toothpick. Or, like, you know, those big old chunks of cheese. My mom used to, like, cut those up and put them on a toothpick.
Oh,
and I
girl,
thought it was
stop talking.
Yeah.
Yes, cheese, a weakness.
Yeah, that was my favorite. And, you know, I'll be honest, I just got rid of cheese when I had my son because when he started breastfeeding, I realized that he had eczema and I couldn't figure out why. So I got rid of the dairy and I started started taking vitamin D because I was in Virginia and it was cold. So I wasn't getting enough sun, and it cleared up his eczema immediately as soon as I stopped. So it was really, really hard for me to give up cheese because I used to have these amazing cheese parties where I would, like, get all these exotic cheeses and, like, sit around and eat them and drink wine at the same time, and I'd invite my girlfriends over.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so cheese was really a hard one for me.
And you know what? You can learn a way to celebrate a different way. You know, you can do it with tea.
That's
you know,
true.
You can do it with tea and something else good, you know, that you might want to serve.
We'll cut up fruits instead.
Yeah.
So that works out. And sometimes what we'll do is we'll go get some exotic fruits that we've never tried before and throw those in there. That's the mix.
Yeah.
So we've definitely adjusted. He's like 16 months now, so I've been without cheese for a while, and trust me, it hurts. But if I ate a piece of cheese now, I would be so sick. My body would be like, not happening, buddy.
Another thing that I want to share, another category for people that are trying to find out what their purpose is, what they're supposed to do. I mentioned finding your voice. That doesn't necessarily mean verbal. There is such a need for the writers, the storytellers, the poets. And if you are a writer, even if you're going through writer's block, I just came out of writer's block last year, and it was a celebration. I had been in writer's block for 5 years. And I felt like I was pregnant and I was going to burst any moment. I had all this stuff that I wanted and needed to say by way of the pen, writing.
Right.
Because I knew that was my calling. One of them anyway. And I day by day I was frustrated because I couldn't write. I got The Artist's Way, the book The Artist's Way that I recommend to anyone that have that problem. That was a blessing. Oh, my goodness, that was a blessing. She breaks it down. And it is a very well-known book worldwide. They were giving Artist's Way workshops when the book came out,
cool.
But I had a girlfriend to say that I spoke to, and I had just met her too. And she honored me by listening. And she's on Facebook, and I invited her, so I hope she's listening to the broadcast. She listened to everything I told her that I did. She said, you know what? You need to get on Facebook and start posting. Everything that you got on your mind and stuff like that, she just said, just do it. Just start. You don't have to have no preparation. Just do it. And that's how the guided meditation started on Facebook last July.
Yeah, let me actually comment on that because there have been more than a few times when I was having a few days where I needed some motivation, and your your post came across my feed, and it made my day so much better. So let me say thank you for all of those days that you helped me out and kept me motivated.
You are so welcome. And I think 2 months later, I went back to her, and I said, it's working. What you told me to do is working. She said, oh, my goodness. And see, she knows her gift, too. Her gift is to push people where they're supposed to be. Right. You know, by giving them assignments, by challenging them to do this or to do that. She said a lot of times people don't do it. And if you don't do it, that's why it don't work.
Exactly.
I'm so happy for you that you did it and it's working. She said, I'm checking out your page and it's gradually growing. People are actually commenting. And I'm like, yeah. And that led me to writing books.
Wow.
That led me to finish the poetry book called Space to Breathe. Beautiful. And out of all the writing that I do, being a poet is the greatest writing that I do.
Beautiful.
And coming into that understanding, it was a blessing too. What were you going to say, Stephanie?
No, I was just going to say, would you mind reading a piece of your poetry from your book? We don't have a lot of time left, so I want to make sure that we definitely get that in before we have to go off the air.
Yes. As a matter of fact, one of the ones I want to read is not, I put it in, but it's not directly tied into the book, but it's tied into me. And I was having this experience one day where the little girl in me came out. And I made room for that little girl. And I was like, I remember you. And because I want to nurture that little girl. I don't want to get rid of it because I'm all grown up, you know.
Right.
And so I sat there, and I could feel the presence of that little girl. And I wrote a poem about it. And this is the poem. It's called Today My Little Girl Came Out to Play.
Aww.
My little girl came out today, and she wanted to be hugged, and she wanted to play. And she sat with legs folded under, with her chin in hand. She looked curiously as can be and asked, what you doing? Can you stop and play with me? Can we polish our nails and toes? Make my face pretty like yours. My little girl browsed through the many bottles of my perfume. With a sniff and smile, she had made her choice. Can you make my hair pretty with ribbons and bows? Can we dress up in our nicest clothes? Can we have tea on the balcony? 'Cause the birds and the butterflies I want to see. It had been a beautiful day of pretend and play. We danced and sang, all dressed up, eating pizza for dinner and ice cream in a cup. With nothing left to do, we danced to our room, falling across the bed, and for just a moment, our imagination and dreams took over as we stared at the moon. Suddenly, my little girl sat up and gave me a hug and the sweetest look. As she stretched and yawned, she said, it's bedtime. Please read my favorite book. As the story ended, my little girl closed her eyes and drifted back to the land of innocence and rainbow butterflies.
Yay! That was beautiful. I love that. That was beautiful. Oh my gosh. That totally
you got time for one more?
Yes, give it to us.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's try this one. It's called Spirit Indigo Dreams. One night I dreamed a dream that I ascended from this place on a jet stream on galactical wings. As I waved goodbye to all that was and could have been, place I let out a sigh and peace overtook me, and suddenly clarity kicked in. Free from my body that I left behind, I soared in bliss, knowing, feeling, and experiencing finally true freedom. Now I embrace a new journey, as I evolve into a star, being of an awesomely bright light, a torch, a guide, a place of solitude for my heart and my soul, a new preparation for a new beginning soon to come. Now I feel the breeze of freedom moving me from deep, from fear so deep. Above and beyond, I'm breathing now, resting in a new serenity in my spirit, in my mind. I sing to freedom, come to me, my angel. Carry me even higher to the mounts above, to the best of places and faces, so the rest of my life will be the best of my life. Now I dance with freedom, entangled in an ethereal flow that just keeps on dancing, keeps on flowing, until suddenly freedom and I are one.
Oh, man.
So that's another
beautiful.
one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, so is this poetry book for sale?
Yes, it is for sale. It should be out in 1 month. I got to do some final editing on it. Yeah,
okay.
But it is for sale. Yeah.
Cool. Definitely let me know when it's available, and I will advertise it on our Facebook page just because I think
okay, we'll do. I would love that. Thank you.
Definitely. So, okay, so we're actually close to the end of our program tonight. So, and we didn't really talk about this, but you know that we always give out homework every week, and I was wondering if you had any ideas for this week's homework.
2 ideas. One, I mentioned to you that time that I emailed you, and you said, I'm going to do that homework tonight. I don't know if you ever put it on the show.
You know what? I haven't put it on the show. I actually saved that specifically for you. I'm glad you remembered that.
Good. And that homework is to sit down and have a conversation with yourself 3 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
And what does that look like? That's the question that you have to answer. What do you look like 3 years from now? What will you be doing 3 years from now? What will you have gotten rid of? What new things have you learned? And what is your outlook on life? I think that was all the part of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was it. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did that homework, and it was very, very moving, guys. So, you know, and I might even redo it again just to make sure that everything is in the line where I'm at right now.
And I also want to add to that, set the atmosphere. Make sure when you do it, to all of our listeners, make sure you're not disturbed.
Definitely.
Just, you know, be able to give yourself permission to be in silence and light a candle or light an incense or, you know, whatever helps your spirit to get into a balanced state. Yeah. So that would be the homework that I offer.
That's beautiful.
I also want to add, and this is my call to action for the work that I do, but because it's your show, Body and Soul Awareness, it is a free call to action. And it is for my services as a spiritual counselor and a life coach. If anybody is trying to answer that question that Stephanie and I talked about, as far as trying to find your purpose, anybody that is interested or that needs help, you know, and guidance getting there, I am offering 5 hours free of consultation that we will do by phone. And you can, you know, say which area you want to work on, or you don't know where you want to go, and we can have a conversation and we can go from there. But that's what I would like to offer, and that's the way that I can help you embark upon your journey, your life work, your mission.
Beautiful. Hey, you know I'm going to take you up on that, right?
Yes, you better. And I'm going to take you up on the on the healing stuff that I need. Yeah, I will be calling you for that.
I think that's how it's supposed to work. Like, you can offer something that can benefit someone else, and then they offer something that benefits someone else. And I always use the farmer with the cow analogy. So a farmer has a cow. The cow makes milk, right? The farmer's daughter's sick. Well, the doctor helps the farmer's daughter, so then the farmer gives the doctor milk, right? So that's kind of the analogy I always use of how things are supposed to work.
Because in 3-month intervals, I want to set up a calendar of wholeness and healing, and I definitely need your help with that. And it'll tap into one of my companies, Lucille's daughter, and it has to do with herbs, teas, and spices. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really need to talk to you about that anyways. Actually, maybe we can have you come on the air and talk about that as well, maybe like in April. I have some openings.
Sounds great.
Perfect. Okay, good.
This has been so much fun.
I know. So if people need to reach you, if you would just give your contact information so everybody knows where to find you.
Okay. The email address that I check the most is sessions, and that's an S on the end, SESSIONS, with Ren, REN, WITHREN, at Gmail, sessionswithren at gmail.com, or they can call me directly. My telephone number is 706-351-2696, or if you're on Facebook, I am on Facebook under Renee, and you can message me, and I can get back with you that way. So that's it.
Beautiful. Well, Renee, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be on the show with me tonight. It really, really means a lot. I've been wanting to get you on the air for so long. You know that. But it's funny because I totally understand how things need to evolve, and it ended up you came on at just the exact perfect time. So it's been great. So thank you so much. And I will be in contact with you very soon because I do plan on using those 5 hours because I know there's some work that we can do together. I'm almost positive about it.
Well, I'm excited and I'm looking forward to it.
Beautiful. Well, have a good evening.
You too, Stephanie. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so that was totally awesome. I'm so glad that this radio show went just as well as the women's marches did yesterday all over the globe. So we're continuing momentum of all of this. It's so exciting. I hope everyone takes Renee up on her special offer to give you help with finding your passion, because it's such an important thing right now, because once you find your passion and you find where that passion fits a need in the world, it will take off and amazing things will happen in your life. And I totally know that to be the case for my life, and I'm sure that it'll work for you as well. So make sure you contact Renee. I'm going to put the homework up on the Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Body and Soul Awareness Radio. I'm going to say that one more time because it's a lot. Facebook.com/Body and Awareness Radio. Make sure you check us out. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns for me, my email is Stephanie@EdensBalance.com, or you can check out my website. It's www.edensbalance.com. I have a whole bunch of cool information up there. And I actually have a 28-day total body detox program to help you feel better and just navigate this life feeling the best that you possibly can. So, again, thank you so much for listening to us tonight. And I want to leave you tonight not with music, but Madonna's speech from yesterday. It's so funny because it was such a huge thing that Madonna said bad words on stage, and you know what, just living up to who I am shaking things up, I'm going to end this show with Madonna's speech because I thought it was freaking awesome. So here we go.
Hello? Are you still awake out there? Are you sure about that? Can you hear me? Are you ready to shake up the world? Welcome to the revolution of love, to the rebellion, to our refusal as women to accept this new age of tyranny, where not just women are in danger, but all marginalized people. For being uniquely different right now might truly be considered a crime. It took this horrific moment of darkness to wake us the fuck up. It seems as though we had all slipped into a false sense of comfort, that justice would prevail and that good would win in the end. Well, good did not win this election, but good will win in the end. So what today means is that we are far from the end. Today marks the beginning of our story. The revolution starts here. The fight for the right to be free, to be who we are, to be equal. March together through this darkness, and with each step, know that we are not afraid. That we are not alone. That we will not back down. That there is power in our unity, and that no opposing force stands a chance in the face of true solidarity. And to our detractors that insist that this march will never add up to anything, fuck you. Fuck you. It is the beginning of much needed change. Change that will require sacrifice, people. Change that will require many of us to make different choices in our lives. But this is the hallmark of revolution. So, my question to you today is, are you ready? I said, are you ready? Say yes, we are ready. Say yes, we are ready. One more time, you're ready. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House. But I know that this won't change anything. We cannot fall into despair. As the poet W.H. Auden once wrote on the eve of World War II, we must love one another or die. I choose love. Are you with me? Say the it with me. We choose love. We choose love.